Good morning, everyone.
Greetings, everyone. Dr. Annette West, Publishing Pusher here. Thanks for joining me in the Jetnay Publishing, talking all things books. Yes, the operative words, all things. I'm excited you're here. You listen in, share your thoughts. You don't have to be live on the screen to be able to talk. And I want you to know your success is my business. I'm here to assist you, support, empower, inspire as we pull out those thoughts to get these books accomplished. Thanks again for joining me.
All right, welcome again. Good to see you. Thankful for another day. I hope everyone has had a great week since I was last here. Good to see Miss Anna with us this morning. That's Anna J. Small Roseboro. And also Written Word Publishing, which is Mel V's. Good to have you all in the space. Another great Thursday where we get to come on here to talking all things books. I hope some exciting things have happened for you in the last week. I tell you, whew, my goodness gracious, when I just think about how great God is and how many doors he keeps opening, and I'd be like, another door, Lord, another door, Lord, another door, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lord, for every door that you are opening. Just before I came in here, I'd be like, okay, is this, is this, is this, is this? I was just listening to the 1030 message on, it was titled, God is greater than that thing that I did, and listening into it, even though God used me as a vessel to present it, it still spoke to me when I listened to it. And God's word always has a way of imparting something to us if we will zone in to it. So it was a great message. I thank God for the open door of being on decalb25.com, which is a television station, and being able to get his words out through me. And so I am so thankful for that opportunity. And when I think about, I was so busy last night trying to get emails out for the next collaboration, which is the Centered in Christ series, volume 5. Getting ready to work on that. If you are thinking about writing, you want to be a part of a devotional, this would be something great for you to jump into, because you will be a collaborator in it. You will gain some insights to help you to write, as well as become a co-author in a project where you will now have a first book that you can actually get people to vest in. There's great opportunities for us. We just have to be willing to tap into them. So between that, the TV show, the Here Talking All Things books, the Jetnay, the Dr. Annette Publishing Pusher podcast, oh my goodness gracious. And then I'm working on getting things together for my January retreat for my ladies that are under the Sisters of Valor ministry. So God just keeps opening doors and pouring things out. We have our quarterly Friday night refreshing, just so many things. And I have people saying, why do we only do it every quarter? I'm telling you, I said, listen, there are enough things going on that if I don't have anything going on, tap into what somebody else has going on and see if it's a fit for you. So just again, just excited to be here and to see what's going on in your world. Written word publishing, what's going on in your world? If you are able to speak today. Good morning, Melvise.
Good morning. How you doing today?
Wonderful. You can hear me. I'm wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It is a lot going on in here. I'm multitasking right now, but I've decided to come in here and just be some backup for you today.
Well, I listen, I appreciate every time you show your picture and your voice shows up on the screen. So I understand multitasking. I can't do it when I'm the one just running the show. But when you on the side or you a part of it, you can be doing other things. So thanks, Mel V's, for joining in. Are there any events or anything going on anytime soon that we should know about? I know you keep track of these things.
Well, if you go to Written Words Publishing /events, there are 200 upcoming events listed there at all times. So I have events all the way until 2026, but the calendar only will show the first 200. So I believe on the website there's events at least up until next September or October on the site, and it updates. Every time one comes off, a new one comes on.
Wonderful. Can you also put that in the chat just in case people are going to be coming in listening later? They will be able to access that link as well.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Miss Anna, what's going on? Tell us about what you've been doing.
Well, some of you who see my Facebook post see that the Women Who Write and Create event turned out terrifically. It was a first time this particular group in Western Michigan has met since COVID. We tried a couple of online ones during the sequestration, and they were okay, but being with people is different than talking at their pictures on the screen. One of the things I had an opportunity to do was to implement some of the strategies that Dr. West has been sharing with us about going to in-person events. But perhaps the most exciting thing for me was to be able to look across the exhibit hall and see the table of an author that I had an opportunity to coach. This is someone who wrote a 4-generation memoir of her family on both sides. And she and her sister set up pictures of the 4 generations. Of course, this attracted attention and people wanted to know more about who and what and when and where and why. And she was able to share that. And in that 4-hour event, she sold 11 books. Okay. And made some contacts and may be able to get some speaking engagements. And that was one of the things that Dr. West told us about. Sometimes at a book event, we may not sell books, but we may have opportunities for other things. And at this particular one, I had an opportunity to serve on a panel discussion to talk about ways to prepare our stories to be written. And some of the things that Mel Vies mentioned about knowing who your audience is, knowing what the purpose is, and equally important what the message is. And so if you heard yourself talking this weekend, it's probably because I was saying some of the things that I have heard here. I didn't do too badly myself. I sold 9 books in 4 hours myself. So there's money coming in for the schools in Kenya because some of them sold were the Rainbow Reminders. That one got a lot of interest, particularly when I shared with them the activity book, how to make a picture book more than a one-time story. And this is one of the things I share with those who come here. A picture book does not have to be over because the story has been read one time. And so that's what I've been doing over the weekend. And again, I'm glad I had an opportunity to sit in on these sessions because many things were reminders, but new things occurred that helped the presentation. So thank you, Dr. West. And Mel Vies, I do have a question for you when we get to that section of our presentation today.
Thank you, Miss Anna. And listen, y'all, Rainbow Reminders. Yes, beautiful book, beautiful book, beautiful book. And as she mentioned, the book proceeds go to support our Kenya mission. What is the Kenya mission? Kenya mission is I connected with some people in Nigeria God led. I'm going to tell you, it was a God led thing because my plan was not God's plan. And what I planned, it got tore down. And God said, go over here. And that's how I wound up in Kenya. The school is Victoria's Golgotha. And it started about 12, 13 years ago with just the children of the family. And then they went out into the community and sought the children. God sent them back to their home village. They were out in the bigger areas just prospering. And God said, no, I want you to go back to your home. I want to go back to where I've given you property. And they went back to the property and began to build their homes on that property. And they built a small church is what they did. So they started out as a church, and then God said, start teaching your children. They don't need to go to the school system. Start teaching your children. They started teaching their children, and God said, now go into this community of poor impoverishment and bring in the children. And when they brought in the children were any and every age. I think the oldest they had was about 16 or 17, but they all came in unlearned. So they all started at like preschool level. It didn't matter the age. They all started at preschool level. And so God allowed us to go in and to be a blessing to them and to start supporting them financially. And we've been doing that for the last 12, 13 years. Every year we're feeding into them. We've had the opportunity to go there 3 different times to teach. They asked us to come and to teach. They want teaching. We want to learn how to be better. We need teaching. What they said was, we don't need anybody to come here and build anything. God has given us the ability to learn how to do those things. We do need financial resources, but we can get it done. But if you will come here and you will do leadership teaching for us, if you will help us with our children and do special teaching for them, it is greatly appreciated. So when our teams go in, we teach the children. We do a vacation Bible school for the children. And Miss Anna's book, Rainbow Reminders, is now a part of the school's curriculum. So we had, ladies that went with me, and they taught from Miss Anna's book, added some other content to it. So the teachers there have Miss Anna's book and the workbook that they are now using. And let me tell you this, we never know how this conversation is going to go. I just want y'all to know this. Let me tell you how God works. So there was a school that was like doing some classes in the area. And they heard that we were there, and they asked, could they come? And the director said, yes, come. So these adults came in, and they sat in on one of the sessions on Rainbow Reminders. And the director's dad said, he got up and he said some words, and he said, I learned so much today. He said, I cannot believe I didn't know any of that about the rainbow. So we're thinking, oh, it's for the children. But no, the way Miss Anna has pulled this book together, it is for anyone who wants to gain something from it. So Rainbow Reminders is now in the school in Kakamega, Kenya. And we're going to be getting some more copies of the books to them because they said it's hard not having enough copies. I believe we took 10 copies in and we left 10 copies there. That's not enough copies for the teachers. So we're going to be making sure, I don't know when I'm going back, so I am just going to get a box, and whatever it costs to get it there, that's what I'm going to do so that they will have the book and the workbook. So if you don't have it, get it. I'll say get it for your children, but guess what? You will be engaging your children and your grandchildren as well. Take it to the nursing home and engage the seniors there with it. There are so many great things that you can do with this book that Miss Anna has created. And I am ever so grateful that they did it and decided. I know there's another lady, Miss Anna, so I want you to give her name as well, but that they decided to bless the school with the proceeds from this book. Go ahead, Miss Anna.
That's what I want to keep saying. She said, keep saying, Miss Anna, during COVID, one of the ladies whose artwork was posted regularly on Facebook, I said, this looks so much. This is beautiful. When she would go walking, she would take pictures. And I just sent her a note. I said, Nancy, I see all this beautiful artwork, it's paintings that you do, but also your nature walks. How about pulling it together with a poem that I've written about the rainbow? She says, well, if my grandson likes it, I'll do it. Her grandson is 5 years old. So she read the book to him. He liked it. And for the next months, we exchanged poems and pictures until we pulled this book together. And so I just want to encourage you, work together. There's someone with an idea. There's someone with this talent, with this skill that can enhance what you do. And then once we learned about Dr. West's project in Kenya, Nancy, who also is an educator, she says, if they need the books, let's pass the rights along to Dr. West. And the fact that she's gone, she's taken them, is a blessing to us. But we were able to use some strategies and skills that we learned, and delighted to know that they are helping other people learn more about science, technology, religion, English, ecology, arts, math. We call it the STREAM process. All of those words began STREAM. And this may be something, Melvise, you might offer to your clients. What's the next step after you get your picture book printed? What can we do next? I know that many of your devotionals have questions that can be used in book discussions, but let's consider ways that what we do can go the next step. Thanks, Dr. West, for giving me this opportunity to tell you about the project that Nancy and I did.
Thank you. Nancy White, right? Is it White?
Her skin is,
Oh,
yes, yes. She's a teacher I met online. She lives in California. I live in Western Michigan. And again, just like we're doing here, we're online, but we're seeing and hearing, and it was not difficult to exchange what we did. But yes, she's a white woman.
okay. So I didn't care about her color. For some reason, I thought her name was Nancy White, but I'm not looking at the book.
Her
But
name is White, Nancy
oh,
White,
okay.
and she's from Ireland. And she took the book
Okay.
with her when she went to Ireland this fall.
Nice. Nice. Well, I'll be talking to the head mistress. I think they have two head mistress and one headmaster over the different programs at the school. So I will be communicating with them to see what else they are in need of. And so we would normally be going into Kenya in 2025, but the Lord said no, and take those resources and break it down for the teachers and give them a little something extra because they don't get much. So we are going to take what we would have spent to make a trip, which is a very good amount, and we're going to distribute it amongst those who teach and the leaders there.
Please let us know that, so that those of us who can or want to can contribute to that package. That's one of the things that we learned when we were in Africa. Access to books and libraries, slim to none. And I'm delighted that you're doing this.
Thank you, Miss Anna. So the children there got to learn about the STEM. The STEM, is it STEM or STEMs, Miss Anna?
Stream, because I want the R
Stream.
in for religion.
Ah, gotcha.
STREAM.
Okay. Okay. So I know I did not teach from the book. I had other people that were teaching from the book to they broke the kids in different age groups. So they were adjusting it for the age group. So they had, I think it was three or four different age groups. Each one of them had two of those groups. So they separated and adjusted the content for each of those age groups. So that was a great blessing. So that was informative, right?
A little persuasive too.
So I am really just excited about all that God is doing, and the doors that He has opened for us. Is there anything that you all want to talk about? And before I go back to the topic that we've had for the past few weeks, how to prepare for live book events.
Since you asked, and was one to
Yes.
ask Melvise too, I'm looking for someone to help me transmigrate my novel series into a movie script. And I've been
Ooh.
sitting in on workshops on that, but it's not consistent of what they're asking. And so I was going to ask Melvise today if there is anyone on her team who does that kind of work, if she would send me a chat or send me an email. I think I'm ready to bring in someone who can do that kind of work. Make a script of a couple of scenes from the book that we can include in a pitch to a producer to make the story available for streaming online.
Mm. Would this be a
Yes.
Tyler Perry movie? Go ahead, Melvies.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have anyone on my team who does it, but I do know of an author. He's a best-selling author. His name is Brian W. Smith, and he has a company called the Script Repository. So he translates books into scripts. A few of his books have already been turned into movies. So he would probably be a good resource to not only do the conversion, but also possibly connect you with producers or somebody in the industry that could turn your book into a movie. So I'll put his the link in the chat. Script repository.
I actually, Miss Anna, could see that book being a mini series, because there's so much there. I don't think you could jam pack it into one movie, but I think a series, 5 to 8 sessions, would, I think it would really work. I like mini series,
Mhm.
and I like it when they're about 5 to 8 sessions. So when I'm looking for something, I look to see how long is this going to go on.
That's one of the things they ask us in what's called a pitch package. How could this be transmigrated? How many series? What would go in each episode? But the more complete the script is that I turn into them, the more likely they're going to buy it because that'll be work that they won't have to do. And so,
Correct.
Melvise, I'll be looking to hear from you about this person that you said who has done this and may be willing to either do it by contract, of course, or help me do it. But that's my next project. I'd like to, by the spring, to have a pitch ready to go to the independent movie producers looking for stories that will be attractive enough to bring customers to watch. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I
Thank you
think
for
I
that
think that's a
confirmation.
great. I think it's a really impactful story that you have, and so is, I mean, and listen, there are so many movies and sitcoms and different things out there that are so negative and take people down a really dark area. I think having teachable content is critical to finding some type of balance in everything that is being put out now. Everything doesn't have to be about the husband cheating, abuse. It does, but there are some real issues that aren't being addressed. And I think your book series talks about an issue that creates other issues that people talk about behind the scenes, but don't address it where it needs to be. So I'll definitely keep this in prayer, Miss Anna.
Well, if I can also get that in words, I can include that in the pitch. Someone who knows has said this about the book. And as again, the Melvise probably notices too, that when you get endorsements for your writers, that's a plus. So once this is over, I'll go back and do a download the words and send them to you and get your permission to use them.
That's fine, Miss Anna. That will be just fine. Any way that I can help us to get a great message out, yay! So listen, everyone. For the last couple of weeks, I have been talking about how to prepare for live book events. You heard Miss Anna talking about her live event that she was recently a part of, and how things went, and how she's gained some great insight from being here in the Talking All Things Books platform. And remember, as you're listening, you can always, you're here today, but if you want to go back and listen again, just go to my YouTube channel, Jetnay Publishing, and you will be able to find the 22 sessions that are already out. I've been asked to take the audio of these sessions and actually use it in one of my seasons on my Publishing Pusher podcast, which I didn't even think about. So, someone who, I was talking about it in my women's group, and someone who often pops in said, I think that's a great idea. It's evergreen content, and if it can get on one more platform, that's what we need to do. So that was good. So I have talked about quite a bit of content in the past couple of weeks, and I hope you'll go back and listen in. And even if you don't need to listen in, as you're speaking to someone and they're asking questions, say, hey, go to Jetnay Publishing, where Dr. Annette West has a series of Talking All Things books. So today, I have a little bit of time I want to share with these last 15 minutes. And please, if anyone here has any comments to make, please feel free to open up and to interject. So as I move forward on this, I want to start with us focusing on local opportunities. And sometimes creating your own local opportunity is important as well. But if you are a new or an emerging author, starting local may be the best way. Why? Because you may not have the resources to invest yet to go into a broader venue. Local typically has lower costs. You may be able to find more accessible avenues, and this will give you a chance to build a local fan base, people in your own community supporting you. You can look for local community fairs, farmers markets, or library book sales can be a great starting point. You can also ask your library if you can come in and do a sharing on your book. Your library may not allow you to sell books in the library, but you have your information available to people and they will follow you out. You always have books in your automobile, in your bag, or whatever. And if people want to purchase it, they can purchase it outside the building. So it really depends on what the rules are at your library. At my library, you are not allowed to sell inside. You've not been invited in as their author that they're going to publicize to the whole community, but at least you can get in there and have an opportunity to talk about your book and ask and allow Q&A as well. So that's a local opportunity that you can create for yourself. You can also consider niche events. Sometimes smaller, more niche events are better than large-scale ones because the audience is more focused and engaged with your specific genre or topic. So there may be a faith-based book event. You could create a faith-based book event at some place for, I don't know, maybe $100. You might have to rent the locality and you might put information out and invite local authors to come, faith-based authors to come and be a part of the discussion. And they get to hear about yours and you get to hear about those. And you may connect in ways, not maybe a sale of your book, but the ability to network and be a part of other things. So focus on local opportunities. Also, we need to test the waters. What does that mean? If you're unsure, attend the event as a guest or observe before making commitment to be a vendor. This would allow you, especially something that they do every year or every 6 months or something. You don't have to be on the agenda the first time. You may just show up, check it out, and still get the opportunity to talk to the people that are a part of it and gain some great insight. So this allows you to see how well others are doing and whether the event will be worth your time. And I think if we follow these practices, we can choose venues that will maximize our books' visibility. And we can attract our target audience, and we can increase the likelihood of strong sales. So pay attention to what's going on in your community. Find out who's doing what in your community, or you be the one to create it in your community. Any comments on this?
I'm glad you mentioned the idea that some libraries do not permit you to sell on their property. They do permit you to exhibit. And knowing that ahead of time will save some problems because they generally have security who is watching. So that if you attempt to do it on their property, you may be banned. And so thank you for mentioning that, because someone will say, I'm in a hurry, let me just give you the money. But it's, for many of them, it's against their policy. And mention that the last time I had an opportunity to do that, it was a security guard who wanted to buy the book because he was standing outside the room where we were presenting. And so we walked outside and across the street and took care of the transaction. But thanks for mentioning that. That's important to know.
Yeah, so check and see what the rules are at your library before you do it. Ours just says you cannot sell inside the library. But Miss Anna brought another good point. Another library that's in your community may not allow sales on the property at all. So just because there's multiple libraries in your area, the rules may not be the same. And we want to do things decently and in order.
Yes, I would say maybe a good idea would be to have a flyer or some business cards or something with a QR code. So if
Yes.
someone wants to buy the book, they can just scan the code and do it that way. That way there's technically no transaction on the spot. Or at
Yeah,
least they would know
that's
where they could
always
go later to go and purchase the book.
correct.
Hmm.
And some of us use the paperless sales. So, I mean, I've been to events where no money has exchanged hands for what's going on. Everything is, a lot of places, everything is digital. You just need your phone these days. You don't need machines or anything these days. So, this is where technology has some good things that come with it. So the next thing I want to talk about is preparing your inventory. When you're going to events, you need to bring enough stock based on the expected attendance and past sales data. How do you get the past sales data? You can ask for it. And also, depending on the website that the person has, some of that information will be there. They will have pictures from the prior events that will give you an idea. But you can also ask, what is the expected? I've done it many times. So what's the anticipated attendance at this event? I went to one, they said 500. We're going to have 500 ladies here. I had my book list done, books and stuff. So I took 100 of everything that I had and sold a significant portion of it. No, I'm not going to get 500. Each person there, all 500, they're not going to buy something from me. But I was hoping that at least 10 to 20% would. So I went with 100. So a few things I sold all of because t-shirts, right? I had t-shirts. Well, people wanted the t-shirt for them, but they wanted the t-shirt for their sisters, right? So this is having those other products in in our toolbox, having other things there. So even if somebody didn't buy a book, they may have bought something else off my table. So those are things that we have to be, mindful. You can also include a mix of your most popular titles. New releases make bundles. The Centered in Christ series is a bundle. So people can buy the book separately for $20, or they can buy the bundle and get the bundle for $68. Either way, I'm making a profit on it. Either way. The basket is beautiful. The toil, the covering that has a bow on it is nice. And then the books are there. And then one other item. Maybe a mug. Maybe a satchel that I have. Maybe a shopping bag that has the Centered in Christ on it. So you can come up with different things. But preparing inventory for live book sales, it does require us to do careful planning to ensure that we have enough stock without overcommitting our resources. So in respect to this, we can estimate the expected attendance, which means what? Researching the event size. As I said, checking the past attendance figures, talking to the event organizer. And if it's your first time selling, be conservative. Because sometimes if people don't know you and they've not heard anything from you, it may be a little tougher to sell the first time out, but that doesn't mean you can't. So be prepared, just don't overcompensate. I would say that. What's your sales goals? We've talked about this before in some other sessions. You must set a target based on the expected foot traffic and the type of event. So know that percentage factor if I said, because actually I said 500 and I was going for 10 to 20%. But sometimes they'll just say prepare for 5%. I would say depending on how soon you have your next event, you may prepare for 20, knowing that if you don't sell the 20, guess what? You will be utilizing and selling those resources within the next months. Food for thought. What type of event is it going to be? Is it going to be a large event, like a book fair? That might require a higher inventory. How many days is the event? Or is it local and it's going to be smaller? But sometimes local can be larger. It just depends. So you've got to ask the correct questions. And also, under this, prepare a balanced inventory. What are your titles? Like when I go, even though I may have a lot of things on my table, I still have an inventory sheet that people can look at that has the pricing on it. It has what my pricing is. It also has a space as to whether it's a discount for that day. Or did I do a sheet for this one that said, 15% off of everything you buy today? My sheet doesn't always stay the same, but because I've created it as a Word document, I can make adjustments to it, print it out, put it in my plastic stand, and have it on my table. What's your variety going to be? Do you have multiple books? If you do, bring a selection. Are you going to offer bundles of 2 or 3 titles together at a discounted rate? Is this going to boost your sales? Think about it. One event that I did, which was lost, I had 5 of those discount baskets. That instead of $80 for 4 books, the 4 books were in a basket with a few items, 1 or 2 items, in a nice sheer covering with a bow on it for $68. I could have sold it for more than $80 because the books themselves were $40. But as long as you have worked out your calculations, your numbers, and you know that you will still generate a profit. I did not sell all 5 of those baskets, but I did sell 3 of those baskets at that event. So that was almost $200. So consider those things. Are you going to be signing copies at this event? I may sign a particular copy that day and say to people, I'm signing for this book at this event. Even though I may have other books, but this is the book that is getting the signature and the special bookmark and maybe a magnet or something. You can kind of set it up. You can prepare your signed copies in advance to prepare to create a more personalized experience for your buyers. Some people go ahead and sign their books, have their statement, and then they'll put right above it to such and such. Or they'll say, they will have it written saying, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you investing in this project. And they will have left a space for the person's name. And they will write the person's name in, and then they will date it. So just some little things that we can do and we can think about. Any comments, Miss Anna or Melvise?
You mentioned putting the names in, and one of the things that some people recommend we do is have Post-its where we ask the person to write the name, because of the different spellings of so many names, particularly in those of us who live in multiracial, multicultural communities. It may sound one way, but it's spelled another way. And having that on hand may speed things up for us.
I like that, Miss Anna. Great point. Thank you. Hey, Melvise.
Yes, I was going to say take the travel expenses into consideration. If you are going by car, you can put as much as you want in your trunk or the back of your car. But if you're flying or you need to ship your inventory to the location, depending on how heavy it is, that's going to weigh in on your travel expense. So that's something else to take into consideration.
I like your word, weigh in. Sometimes it's equally good to have the books drop shipped to the hotel where you're going to stay. And that way you're not paying double the cost. But I think you mentioned it last time. If it wasn't you, Melvise, it was someone else here mentioning that if you are an award member of a hotel chain, you can call them and ask them to hold the books and they won't charge you for delivering it.
Yep, that's good. But it will be cost effective. I believe I remember my first event that I did back in 2006, book event, when I did exceptionally well at that. But I met a woman she was from Michigan actually, and she and her assistant, and she said I heard her talking and she was like, oh, I've got to get my books. And I was thinking, you have to get your books. And I was like, what do you mean you got to get your books? And she was like, yeah, I had them shipped here because I knew I needed about 100 books. So she had them shipped, and she said, and if I don't sell them all, I'll just ship them back. And she said it was cost effective. So that just reminded me, and I've used it a few times. We were at the retreat. One of my books got delayed, and I just said, okay, send it to the retreat center. It did not show up. And the night before we were getting ready to leave, well, guess what shows up at the retreat center? The books, okay? So, I mean, you could have some issues, but if you do it timely enough, most of the time your things are going to be where they need to be. But y'all, we are at our 11:45 time frame. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you always for tuning in. Great dialogue. Listen. Come back and listen again and share the link with someone else, because this is great content that comes to this platform. I didn't even realize how great the sharing I was doing until other people was telling me, because sometimes we just do what we do. We're not thinking anything about it. We just showing up and we doing it. But when Miss Anna tells me that she is using these tactics and how it is benefiting her, and Angela that was here last week talks about how much she has learned and how much she is doing now because of it. It makes me know that I am doing what I'm supposed to do. So thank you, everybody. I will see you next time. And I always like to say before we leave, remember, we are blessed to be a blessing. And if you serve King Jesus, you are supposed to be the visible manifestation of his invisible presence. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.